Hi, welcome to Gabbing with Girlfriends. And my girlfriend today is my dear friend, Christine
Hi there.
Cardoso. Hi, hi, hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you very much. You're the first person I've had on that works in real estate. So I'm dying to get some scoop from you. Everybody always has real estate questions, and I definitely have some.
Yes. Let's just,
So,
there's been a lot of changes in my industry. So thank you for having me on to explain some stuff that's going on in the industry right now, too.
okay, well, you start by giving me a clue, and then I'll interject.
Okay. So recently there was a lawsuit that happened nationally that affected all real estate, all 50 states. Right now, buyers have to sign a buyer broker agreement with an agent before they can even look at houses, which is a brand new thing. We always had a buyer broker agreement, but now by law, before you can even look at a house or even go into an open house, you have to sign an agreement with an agent to let them know if they're representing you or what you're doing. Much like in the times when people were selling a house, they took a listing agreement. Now there's a buyer's broker agreement before you look at a house. That's a big change for the industry, actually.
And I never knew that.
Yeah,
I never
this
knew
just started
that.
August 17th. And
Wow.
they're also asking for buyers to pay a commission to work with agents. Buyers have always paid the commissions in the sales price out of the seller's proceeds, but the buyers have always paid for it. Now they want to have an agreement in writing that in case the seller is not offering a commission or a concession to the buyer's agent, the buyer will pay that. That's a really large change in the real estate industry that's never happened before. So it could be there could be some bumps in the road as we're all getting used to it, and it's definitely a big change that could affect the market.
Why did this happen?
There was a lawsuit that happened. It was something on the East Coast. Some companies required 6% commissions
Yeah.
when someone sold a house. The company policy was 6%. And so they considered that as price fixing. This is what this lawsuit came about. Had nothing to do with a specific, like Keller Williams, for instance, where I worked for. We weren't a part of that. That wasn't our company policy, but across the board, they decided to have more clear, excuse me, transparency in the industry. And this lawsuit happened. The Department of Justice has decided to have more transparency, that they want all buyers to understand that they have to pay a commission if the seller is not going to pay a commission.
So was that 6% industry standard or was that
I mean,
6%?
it's kind of like it is industry standard. It's kind of what was done, 5 to 6%. But I've been doing this 31 years. I have always talked to my sellers about commission. Everything has always been a negotiation. We have always negotiated commissions. California, again, we weren't a part of anything that happened for this lawsuit, but it blanketed the entire 50 states, and this came into practice as of August 17th.
Wow. I get it. And I have bizarrely twice gone to work with a realtor and kind of a couple days into it thought, this didn't feel right.
Right,
So, um, it's not fair to just get up and go because, I mean, this is before pictures and before any expenses happened,
right.
but still, you kind of feel badly about leaving
Sure.
and there's no protection for either party.
Right. And this is the thing. I mean, you're interviewing. So now there's buyer consultations and you're interviewing, making sure it's a good fit. I've never held anyone hostage in 31 years. If they don't want to work with me, they don't want to work with me. Same thing with sellers. When you go to sell your house, I always encourage all sellers to please interview at least 3 agents. It's a good way to do it. Same thing for the buyers now. Know who you're working with and interview, especially if you're going to be on the hook for 2.5% or 3% commission. In the event a seller is not going to offer a buyer concession, it's came into law as of August 17th, but it already started about 2 months before that. I'm seeing that most sellers are still offering a buyer concession, which is like a commission to the buyer's agent. Just the percentages have changed a little bit. Like it's usually 2% as opposed to 2.5%. So it's an adjustment we're all going to have to take. But I do think that, I think we have a short-term memory. There's a lot of different markets. This has been a very good market for the last like 7 or 8 years. But when the market changes, it's very important to have buyers and buyer representation and buyer brokers. Someone's got to open the house, show them, and walk them through the process. So it might change again if the market changes. We've had a very robust run up in the market for the last 8 years, so things might change.
So here's a question, and I don't really understand this because I'm not a California resident, so I'm not a California home buyer or seller.
Yeah.
But there's a new, I don't even know what it's called, some kind of, I don't know what it's called, luxury tax on very
Oh, in
expensive.
California
What is
or
this?
LA? I believe that's actually in LA County.
Oh
Their
yeah,
the mansion task. Yeah.
that's it. I didn't know that was just an LA thing. I thought it was a California thing.
That's in LA County. It's the mansion tax, and I think it's at 3%. They're talking about it's not on the legislation as of yet, but that could be substantial. I mean, it could make a lot of money as well. I think it's going to be 3% of anything over 5 million. I primarily deal in Ventura County, but I've done a lot in LA County because I'm very close, and Santa Barbara County. I believe that's still on the books right now for the mansion luxury tax. It's not across California. What is across California, if you sell a rental property, the state of California takes 3.33% off the top, and then decides once you redo your taxes the next year if you owe any more money. That's across the board in all of California, a 3.33% tax if it's a rental property.
That goes to the
And
state.
yeah, and if you're not reinvesting in another property, like a 1031 exchange.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so that's in addition to
As
anything
in
else.
addition to your real estate fees, any repairs you might have to do or anything like that, that's 3.33% of the sales price, which can be tricky if depending on what you paid for the property. It's of the sales price, not of your net proceeds yet of the sales price. That's a state mandated on investment properties. Excuse me, investment property only.
That's crazy if it's not a net, because how many properties do people buy that they fix up to make it a rental property?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
like how many, like people every day buy something that they think could be deemed a rental property and they spend a lot of money fixing it up. Like, so
Correct.
that should really be a net thing. That should be,
I agree. I totally agree because if you let's say you bought a piece of rental property for 500,000 and sold it for 600,000, they're going to still take the 3.33% off the top, not of the 100,000, until you file your taxes and they decide if you get a refund or not. So it can really affect things. I've had some sellers had to write checks to the state to make it happen because they're very tight margins.
wow. Wow. And do you think property is still on the upswing, or do you think we're starting to I'm saying we, I don't live here, but
That's a great
or
question. So we've stabilized in my market in the beach area of Ventura and Santa Barbara. We still have an inventory crunch. Uh, a year ago, we were probably 10 offers on the property over one weekend. It's more of a balanced market now, where it's taking maybe 4 to 6 weeks for an offer, which is normal. Back in the day, sorry, my phone is ringing.
okay.
Um, before the market got so crazy during COVID, I would take a listing for 6 months with the expectation that I would market the home to try to sell it over a many months period. But that changed because the market has been so robust since COVID happened, and the rates were so low for so long. Of course, that's also changed. But we're still seeing, if the home is priced right, we're still seeing multiple offers left and right. It's kind of amazing.
In a quick period of time.
Yeah, I have a very important listing coming up tomorrow actually, and I mean certain price points too. It's all price point dependent, people's affordability, right? And it's over the million mark, which is very common in this part of California, of course. We would expect maybe to market it for about a month, but in the previous, like about a year ago, we'd probably have like 3 or 4 offers by the first end of the first weekend. That has definitely changed.
Wow. And outside of your immediate area, how often do you tend to be do you tend to represent a buyer or a seller more often
I
outside of
am
your
a very heavy listing agent. I would say probably 60% of my transactions are listings and 40% are buyers. But within that the listings, I double end bring the buyer as well, probably about 25% of the time. I
you
do a
do?
lot of marketing and outreach. I don't just stick a sign, pray that someone comes to buy the property. I really market to different niches and online, and I oftentimes find the buyer for my sellers. I've had no problems with that and dual representation.
Hmm. That's cool.
It's my favorite, actually.
Is it? That's funny.
Yeah, yeah, because I have control of everything. Because I make sure that everything happens for everybody, and it's always a win-win, completely transparent. It just seems like it's always a good thing to have complete control of what's happening.
Hmm. I get it. No, I totally get it because I guess that's applicable everywhere. Where it's
Yeah,
if you've got the kind of job that gives you a buyer seller control, then why
yeah.
not? But why do you think that is? That 60% of your sales are with the
Listings.
sellers? Yeah.
I've always been a very a heavy listing agent. I take on a lot of projects, help my clients prepare their home, stage their home, any kind of fixes they do. I'm really good at that from start to finish. If a house needs some different things, I can walk through and kind of know what the buyers require and want. And I've always been really successful with it. So, and it's followed me for a very long time. I get a lot of referral business. Um, I get a lot of repeat business, actually, people who maybe bought 10 years ago and they're going to sell, or their children are going to buy or sell. So I get a lot of referral business. I'm very fortunate that way.
So, how important do you think staging is?
Well, I think it's very important. Like, I have a brand new listing on the ocean up in Rincon right now, and she's living there. And this is not very often I stage a house that someone's living in, but I really need to give it a beach feel. I mean, her family's owned it since the 1960s.
Uh,
So by staging it, we completely transformed the feel of the home to really give it that beach cottage. It's a very small piece of property, but it's beautiful. But the staging, and I also did some painting, really helps. And I think if someone's living there, what I encourage people is to pack up as much as possible. But if it's a vacant house, I really think staging is important because you want people to sit down and enjoy the living room, get the light, get the feel of the home. And it's important to have a place to sit and feel comfortable and cozy when you're looking at a home. And the staging definitely brings an element of comfortableness and people a feeling of home.
yeah.
Baking cookies helps too.
Yeah, I
Good
no, I
smells.
believe that. I
Yeah,
believe
yeah, I do that. Open
um,
houses.
I love it. And then do you think that well, that's a good do you think a house has to be an open house?
An open house? Do I
Mhm.
think there has to be open house?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something that most of the people in my industry will probably disagree with me on. Over my 31 year career, I do believe vacant houses that are staged, great for open houses. A lot of times in the open houses, I find clients for different houses or other sellers. So, for instance, most of my houses that are owner occupied, I qualify and make sure the buyer can afford the home before I bring them in. I just feel that's really important. Nowadays, I syndicate out to like 500 different websites. You're very easily find my walkthrough tours, my videos. In this day and age, you can see everything almost online. I want to make sure that someone's qualified for $2 million or $3 million before they walk into someone's home. Open houses are a lot for neighbors and people that want to know how people are decorating sometimes.
Right.
But at this point in the world, I think that by appointment only for qualified buyers in occupied homes is the way to go.
Oh,
I
yeah,
really do.
I absolutely agree with that because there's
Yeah.
nothing
My
worse.
my coworkers and the rest of my industry will not agree with me on that, but and I was a broker of record for 10 years. That's definitely been my experience.
Yeah, I think I don't want a time waster.
Yeah, no.
No, I don't, and people do. People like to just have nosy. People like to
Yeah,
see what their neighbor's
looky
house.
lose.
Yeah,
Looky
yes,
lose.
absolutely,
Sorry. I have a phone call.
and I think that yeah, I think that and again, you can still be a looky-loo even if you can afford the house, but at
Right.
least yeah, but at least, you know that there's a possibility they may buy. If you can't afford the
Financially that they
house,
qualify. And I mean, and of course the online tours, I do a Matterport tour. You can look at all of that and you can dream online. But I think if someone's living in the home, definitely want them pre-qualified. However, with vacant houses, I think it's great. It's a great way to show the neighborhood. We always door knock 10 doors down whenever we take a listing so I can let the neighbors know about it. Maybe they want to choose their next neighbor. Maybe they know someone that wants to live in the neighborhood. So we definitely
oh,
want the neighborhood to know about it. And we send out postcards and announce the home. But when it's occupied, I feel people should be financially qualified before they go into someone's home.
oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then, huh, um, and when you go into a house, when you talk to a seller,
Yeah,
do you tell them to take down photos and everything
I
that's personal?
do. I really have people, and this is it's funny. I tell my clients, "You're not going to really like me very much because I'm going to make you take down all your family photos. I want to depersonalize the home because I want the next family to imagine their family living there. And I make them take everything off the kitchen counters, the bathroom counters. I want them to make it look like it's a model home, at least for photos and showings. And so, like this last house I was talking about on Rincon, I had her get a pod. We packed up all, she's living there, but we packed up all of her things. And plus, she's getting ahead of it. When I do sell her house, she's halfway packed up too. But it's very uncomfortable to get it ready, but it will always do the best for the marketing and for the selling of the homes for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, I don't want my pictures up, but whenever I'd
Right.
walk into a house that I was looking to buy, I would
Yeah.
like I kind of liked kind of seeing what the people are like because they're not home.
I'm always like,
So,
do I know that person? Did I go to school with that person? Did I go to college with that person? I'm always being like, you're thinking about something else. You're thinking about, and I want them to concentrate. You have like a half hour in a house, 20 minutes in a house. You're going to make a huge financial decision. You want them to concentrate, of course, on the house.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, well, this is all very interesting. What other tips can you give on helping to sell a house quickly?
To help us out, well, the pricing is probably in this market as things may change, and we're heading right now into the fall season, which sales do slow down during the holidays. The pricing is very important. In the last couple of years, people have been pricing homes about 10,000 higher than the last sale, just sort of arbitrarily. So watching the market and pricing accordingly is so important right now. Um, Knowing the comparables, and also, like it goes along with staging. Like I have my clients usually small things, paint their baseboards. I mean, there's just little things that you want to make the house seem as fresh as possible. Maybe it's a plug-in, maybe it's, for the good smells. All these little things make a really big impact. The listing I have going live tomorrow, we just put fresh sod in the front yard. We want that wow factor with that curb appeal when someone pulls up. Wow, this house is great, and it's only going to get better. Not like dead grass. Okay, what else is wrong with the house? You kind of think that subconsciously, so we want that first impact to really have a wow factor.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Definitely, because there's nothing worse than no matter how gorgeous a house is inside,
Yeah.
everybody everybody likes seeing like pulling up and seeing that it looks clean and fresh and,
Curb appeal.
kept
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
Yeah. You want that first impression to always be really impactful.
yeah. Um, well, to change the subject a bit, did you have a
Yeah.
nice summer? You're a big traveler. Have you
Yes,
gone
ma'am.
any place lately that we should all know about?
I just had a wonderful whirlwind in Europe for 12 days. That was lovely. Had a really great time. Went all over Italy, Spain, and Switzerland. And then we're heading to Mexico this month and then Bali next month. I'm very excited. I'm taking my daughter to Bali in October. And
That I didn't know that. And you're a diver too, right?
that's part of the reason we're going. Yeah, she dives with me as well. My 15-year-old is a diver as well. So we're going to go do that. And then this month, for my son just graduated high school, I'm going to take him to Cancun and we're going to dive as well. He's a diver as well. We're going to go dive in Cancun this month.
And have you been to Bali before? Because I know you
I
like
have
going to
not.
Bali.
I've been to Thailand and Singapore and a couple other Asian countries. Bali is such it takes 24 hours to get there and then you kind of lose a couple days. So we're going to go for 10 nights, which I think will be good to give us some time to really
Wow,
explore it. Yeah.
that's a long
It's kind of a big trip.
that's a long time, I think, to be on a small island, right?
You know, I think so. But we're gonna do is we're doing like four different hotels. So I'm kind of trying to get us integrated in different areas to see the different beaches and the tourist areas and try to kind of feel like where we might want to come back to see as much as possible.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
that's a
gonna move
really
around a lot.
I
Well,
think that's a really good idea because what
yeah,
I
3 nights, 3 nights, 2 nights, 2 nights, like kind of move it around just to kind of see the jungle areas, the rice cakes, and then kind of like there's so many different beaches there. I mean, um, I think there's gonna be enough, and I think we're gonna miss stuff too. Like, we're like, oh, we have time for that. You know how it goes when you're on vacation. The time goes by. So
but I always my problem is because I kind of have a short attention span anyway. So my thing is if I go someplace, I kind of think maybe I only need to be there 3 or 4 days. My husband, on the other hand, would like to be there at least a week to feel to
that's
do
my
that.
husband too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to get acclimated, but I'm like in and out. But I get that. Changing hotels makes a big difference because, how many times can you eat in the same restaurants, or how many times can you look at the same beach, or how many times
totally.
can you yeah. So
Yeah, we're
that's
doing,
gonna
and you would have loved to go into Europe with me. We were every 48 hours we were on the move. That was a lot. That was maybe a little too much, but it was an amazing thing to really just change it up every 48 hours. So probably 72 hours is more, probably a little bit more realistic, but
And do you do cruises or no?
I've done some cruises in the Adriatic Sea and then some to Mexico. They're not really my favorite. I prefer to be on land, and like for instance in Europe, I was on I think 4 flights, 3 boats, and a couple trains. I mean, so like just like I like to be on. Like I prefer actually to be on land. Although I
Yeah,
do appreciate being able to unpack once and like enjoy the different ports and stuff. I definitely appreciate that.
and wake
Yeah.
up
Have you ever
someplace.
done a river cruise? I want to do a river cruise in Europe.
Terry
I
has,
want
and
to
he
do
loves
that. That's something I would love to do, like
huh,
through the Rhine and all that.
yeah. But why? Why a river cruise as opposed to an
Well,
ocean cruise?
also the ocean. I don't like the idea of like the turbulence in the ocean. I don't really like. I'm not a big fan. So I think the river cruise would be kind of cool because you're on the river.
Feel
Yeah.
it because the boat's so big. You don't feel any kind of
Right. That's true. That's true.
so
That's true.
no, it's definitely I never thought I was. Wendy used to for years and years and years. A should go, but B should try and talk us into going. And I'm like, are you crazy? No.
Yeah.
There's no way. Definitely didn't seem anywhere remotely up our alley. And and then we went to Venice for our very first time and both loved it. This was years ago and both loved it. And then came back and said, okay, we're going to do this again next year. So I started putting together a little bit of an itinerary and found out
Yeah.
that exactly what the itinerary that I put
Yeah.
together was a cruise was offering. And you only had
Oh, perfect.
you only had to unpack once. You'd wake up every
Yeah.
day and think about airports. So I'm really glad that I gave in and tried it because it worked. It worked for us. But I get it not working for everybody, but it did work for us.
Did you go to Croatia during that trip?
I did.
Croatia? Yeah, that's what I did too, out of Venice. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. That was a beautiful cruise. Greece
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. I think Croatia is one of Terry's favorite places now. It just
I love it there. I didn't go with my husband. I want to take him back there. I thought Croatia was fantastic. Really beautiful.
so you've got a busy rest of your year. What are you going to do over the holidays?
We're gonna go. We are gonna go to Utah. We're gonna go. We're staying in Zion. I found a VRBO inside the park, like a really big estate, and we're gonna stay in Zion at Thanksgiving. And I don't have anything planned for December yet.
But I know
So,
somebody that did that too, and they had the best time
oh yeah, I'm
staying
excited.
in the park. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
They
staying in like from the estate that I found on VRBO. There's like 12 trailheads within walking distance. So I'm really excited. We're staying 4 nights in Zion the day after Thanksgiving. And so it's pretty exciting.
I love it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that'll be good. And then we're not doing anything in December. Then our anniversary is in January. And we always go somewhere for our anniversary. I think we're going to go to Panama and Colombia. I want to start exploring southern South America, actually. I've never been to South America. So we're going to start checking it out.
I want to go to Costa Rica. Terry's been, but I've not been, and I really want to do that.
You don't want to do that? You do want to do that?
Ooh, I want to go to Costa Rica.
Oh, I've been to Costa Rica several times. I love it. So Costa Rica is like, Lori, I got to tell you, I feel like Costa Rica is the Garden of Eden. Every time I'm there, I'm like, I mean, there's like toucans flying over and monkey. It's so glorious. And they're so about the environment and the animals. And it's just so beautiful there. It's really beautiful. Costa Rica is fabulous.
Oh yeah, that
Fabulous.
might. Yeah, that's definitely going to be on my within the next 6 month list.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It'd be a great
definitely.
family. The kids would love that too, grandkids and stuff. It's really a beautiful place.
Everybody that I know, I've never heard anybody come back and say, didn't love it. Everybody
Right.
that's gone comes back and says, can't wait to go again.
Pura
So,
vida, pura vida. They're very sweet. They're very sweet. They're very kind, sweet people there too. On top of it all, like on top of all the beauty, it's a really wonderful culture too. I
no.
actually started taking Spanish lessons because I wanted to be able to speak to people, better in Spanish. And part of that was for our Costa Rica trips. So,
And how did that go? Can you speak Spanish
así,
now?
así. Not so good. I mean, okay. The more tequila I have, the better I speak. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Well, I bet that's probably somewhat true because the more tequila you have, the less inhibited you are. And I think that's the hardest thing with learning a language is
Right.
being afraid to say it.
Yeah. No, I can understand it better than I can speak it, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. I can hear,
it
I
makes
get
sense.
the gist, but I can't like say what I want to say because I talk so fast anyways to
Yeah.
say it in,
Yep.
different language. So, yeah,
Hmm. So that's all. That sounds like a very, yeah, discovering a whole new part of the world is pretty exciting.
super fun. Well, you
Yeah.
will too. Aren't you going to Italy in a couple weeks?
Yes. Yes. Very excited.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you been to Capri before?
no, I've been to
Oh,
other places in Italy, but I've never been to Capri. So I'm
oh, I think you're
really,
going to enjoy it.
yeah, me
It's going to be
too.
so beautiful.
I'm really excited. Um, so I have some questions because that's what we do sometimes is have
Sounds good.
people write and ask questions. So I kind of collect them.
Okay.
So um, I have five for you. Who is your dream dinner guest, and what would you cook for them?
My dream dinner guest. Wow, that's a great question. My dream dinner guest. Well, first of all, I would order out.
That's,
All right.
that's easy.
Or I'd have my husband do the cooking because he's really the cook in my household. My dream dinner guest. Wow. Gloria, that's a great question. Um, who would I like to talk to? Past, present, future, live, dead, does it matter?
You know, but it doesn't say, so I'll say no, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, okay, because I've been with Keller Williams for 15 years, 16 years actually. I started this local branch, and I've been on panels with Gary Keller, but I've never had a one-on-one with him. And he's a very big piece of real estate history. So honestly, I would like to have dinner with him and kind of pick his brains on how he built an empire so well. And that might be a little boring, not a star or anything, but in my world, he's a star because he's done such an amazing job with an amazing company that's now gone international. And I'd love to hear how he did that. And he's so humble, and he's still a very humble person. And I really appreciate his morals and values. So I would love to sit down and have dinner with Gary Keller of Keller, the founder of Keller Williams.
Oh, that's a good answer. I'm gonna think I don't even really know who mine would be. I would think I don't really know. I know they're I that's pretty sad that I've had the question, so I've had a chance to look at it, so I've
Yeah,
even had a chance to think about it, and you
yeah.
came up with an answer straight away. That was really good. Um, well, I don't really know. Hmm. Well, I'm gonna just pretend
Yeah.
this isn't who I'd want. This
Okay.
isn't who I want, but maybe Paul McCartney
Oh, that would be
because
amazing.
I know my husband would like it,
Yeah.
and he's vegan. So,
I mean, that
that
would be
would
very interesting.
be easy for me, because of him being vegan. So I can actually cook without having to order in.
What would you
So,
cook? Because you have to make two meals, right?
well, no, I just make one vegan meal.
Oh, perfect. What would you make?
Yeah. Well, I tend to be a buffet sort of person where I tend to make 6 things because I never
Nice.
know what anybody wants. So I would probably do a vegan shepherd's pie,
Ooh, sounds
be a
good.
vegan macaroni and cheese, some vegan hot dogs, and then I'd probably
Ooh,
sneak and order in some things from Crossroads that I would never be able to make. So
love
that would
it.
be my dinner.
Love
Um,
it.
okay, next, if you could change your first name, what would you change it to?
Well, interesting you should say that because I was actually born Christie. That was my birth name was Kristie.
Oh, is that right?
And when I was 17, I went to Phantom of the Opera
Oh my
and I
gosh.
fell in love with the main character, Christine, in Phantom of the Opera. And I actually legally changed my name when I was 18. So I did. So I did such
Oh
a thing.
my gosh. Oh
I've
my
already,
god.
yeah, yeah. I changed my name when I was 18. The entire time I grew up, my mother always said I want to name you Roxanne, and my father always said I want to name you Patricia. So I heard they just picked Christy leaving the hospital. And so I heard that my entire life. I fell in love with the main character in the Phantom of the Opera and changed my name at 18. So
I
I
like
don't know if
that.
I change it again. I like it.
And
So
they didn't care. Your mom didn't care because she
no.
wasn't. Yeah.
My parents went through a divorce, and I was starting in real estate actually when I was 18 because I put myself through. I was actually 17 when I started in real estate. I've been at this well over 3 decades, and I went with my mother's maiden name, which is Cardoso. So I actually changed my first and last name. It just kind of worked better for Christine Cardoso, worked better in the real estate naming, I guess. So I changed both my first and last name when my parents got divorced. When I was 17, so I changed it when I was 18. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Um, well, I think mine probably would have been if I was to change my name. And again, I haven't thought about this answer either, but Gloria is such an old sounding name.
I think it's a
Like
beautiful name.
nobody's named Gloria anymore. You just never hear it anymore. And I think so. I think that if I were to change it, maybe something similar like Laura, or not that that's
Laura?
not similar, but it's kind of easily misheard as.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe,
I think
maybe,
Gloria is a beautiful name. Gloria.
yeah, yeah. I
It
mean, I've
reminds me of glorious, like glorious. I don't know. I think it's a really pretty
So
name.
I've met other Gloria. Well, I've met one other Gloria that I knew fairly well for a few years, and and she really suited her name. I didn't think of
No,
her
she
as
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I get. I mean, it's yeah, it's hard question. Okay, coffee or tea?
I like both, but coffee in the morning and then tea in the afternoon. I
Yeah,
do. I have a little tea station here in my office, and I always have a cup of coffee in the morning. So love
yeah.
both. How about
Only
you?
one coffee? You only have one coffee in the day?
I used to do 2 cups every morning, but recently I've just after the first cup, I'm satiated, and I don't have a second cup. It's just kind of it's nice to kind of like I'm finding out that less is more with food, with all kinds of things. Less is more, and even with coffee. I mean, on some mornings, Glory, don't get me wrong, when I'm really tired, probably, but like most mornings, just 1 cup of coffee. And then I will have a cup of green tea in the afternoon for like that 3 o'clock, you know,
Pick
pick me
up.
up sometimes, like, a cup of green tea. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I honestly can't even look at caffeine after 3. I can't look at it.
Oh,
I
after
can't.
3, because you won't be able to sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So,
No, I know. That's something I have to be watch out for as well.
like, there's certain foods, pizza being one, but there's certain foods where I really want a Coke, and, I just can't. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
No, it'll
crazy
keep
how
you up too late.
sensitive I am to it. Yeah. Um, but in the morning, I could have 3 cups of coffee and probably not notice much of a difference between the 1st or the 2nd or the 3rd, but,
Do
seriously, come afternoon, it's all over for me.
you
Um,
use regular creamer or do you use like almond milk? I use almond milk. Almond milk.
well, I mine needs it has to be flavored, whatever it
Oh,
is. It has to
flavored.
like a
Nice.
vanilla or whatever.
Yeah.
And the main reason too, like I always order mochas and things because I don't really like the taste of coffee. Like I'd never
Oh,
order
so you kind of hide the
yeah,
taste of coffee. Yeah,
yeah.
I
Would
get that.
never have coffee flavored dessert or coffee flavored chocolates or something. Just
Tiramisu is not your deal when you go to
no.
Italy.
Yeah, don't even get it. So yeah, so I need something both sweet and flavorful to make coffee tolerable for
Yeah.
me. So okay, who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, okay. Who is my celebrity crush? Probably, not to be cliche, probably Ryan Gosling. He's just a doll. He's just a very nice person, and he's just an absolute great actor, and he's just a doll. He's a doll. Maybe my girlfriend many years ago, we went to Palm Springs together, and she had a pair of leggings that had his face all over them, and so just remember his face from those leggings the whole weekend. So he's always on my mind. I would say
Oh my
Ryan
god,
Gosling.
that's very funny. I think he looks like a child to me. I think he's a
Have you
great
seen his
actor.
body?
Well, I do think he's a great actor, and I do like his look, but because he does look young,
He does look young.
it would be kinda hard for me to crush
Okay, so
there.
who's your celebrity crush?
I don't really know. I don't think that, No, I'm pretty crap at this game, I must say. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I probably have more kind of girl crushes than,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I like it, but nobody I can think of there either right now. I yeah, I don't know. I don't know, and I know there must be millions of them, but I just don't
Well,
know.
who's your favorite actress?
Well, do you know I love Brie Larson?
Who is it?
Brie Larson?
Oh, okay, okay. What was she in?
Love, love.
What was the last thing she was in?
I saw her in something science. I can't think what it's called. The something of science. I'm going to tell you in a second. But she was amazing, and that was a really good show. It was a
Oh, it's
series.
she's a more on the small screen than the big screen.
Mm, that's how I know her, but that doesn't
Hmm.
mean. Um, okay, here we go. Brie Larson was in. She's received a Golden Globe, an Academy Award, a
Oh,
Primetime.
okay.
She was one of the most 100 influential people of 2019. Um, she was in Raising Dead, finally, 21 Jump Street, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, United States of Tara, Short Term
Oh,
Promise,
wow. She's been.
millions,
Oh, you know what? Wait, you know what? I
less
have
than
to back up my answer. Hold on. That just reminded me. Johnny Depp's my celebrity crush and always has been since
there
21 Jump Street in the 80s. So I don't even know what I was thinking there. Ryan, nobody.
you
Johnny
go.
Depp. I've loved him since 21 Jump Street, actually.
Okay, this show is called Lessons in Chemistry, this series. You
Okay.
write it down because you should watch it. It was
Right
so
now.
good. I can't even tell you. That's probably what she got the Oscar for. Um, so good. Like
So good.
she's yeah, so good. I love her. Um, okay. Next. Do you have any phobias?
Um, well, this is very ironic. He's kind of talk about the cruise ships and also I'm a diver. I'm so comfortable in the water. I actually have a phobia of being on the water and then not seeing land and the ship sinking.
Oh, is that
That's
right?
actually that's actually my phobia. Like that's probably why I don't really like the cruise ships and I do get seasick too, so I have to usually take stuff to go on dive boats, but I feel more comfortable when I can see land. I know that sounds kind of weird, but
No,
I
no.
just the ocean's so big. I'm like, I don't know. That's probably my phobia.
Yeah, I get it. That I definitely get because I have a fear of water, and I've always told people that I don't know how to swim. And when I
Yeah.
was moving house, I was going through a box of photos and found a picture of me at like 6 years old diving off a diving board. I never
Oh,
knew I knew how to.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I must have nearly drowned after that because I never knew I did that. I've never been in the water since. I don't think. Um, I mean, I can go into a pool as long as I can stand up to my knees or something.
Okay.
I'm
And feel
never.
comfortable.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I do have a bit of fear there, but I have a really big fear, believe it or not, of of public speaking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow, you seem so comfortable in this role, and I've seen you out and of course in the public. You've done wonderfully. That's
yeah,
surprising. I'm surprised by that.
yeah.
You
It really.
really pulled it off very well, considering.
Oh, well, thank you very much because it really is. It is. Um, Okay, well, another fear I have is me not able to keep my attention span going. So I usually end it right about now, time wise, because I always worry that if anybody's listening, they're going to
Right.
tune out because it seems like
Got
everybody
it.
these days short attention span.
Short
So
and sweet. That's true. I mean, we're in the 2 minute, we're in the 30-second news cycle in this world right now.
yes,
Well, I
yes.
want to thank you for having me on. I
But
really
we have to do
appreciate
a
it.
part two. But we have to do a part two
I
soon
would love
because
that. I would
yeah,
absolutely love that. Yeah, and thank
and
you to the listeners and
uh,
appreciate you put me on here, Gloria. This was fun. You're right. It's totally
I
fun.
love it. I love it.
Thank
I love
you.
it. Thank you very much. So we'll
Okay.
say goodbye and I'll speak to you soon
Okay. Ciao.
off podcast and on podcast. So
Sounds great.
thank you, thank
Ciao.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And be sure to follow Gabbing with Girlfriends on here so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on social media for more fun and in depth conversations. Thank you.